What? What? Apparently they want me to do it like this today. Mercury retrograde. What can I say? Well, that's okay. You can still see my world. It's a new moon in Libra. It is a new moon in Libra. I have a very heavy laptop that is also a touchscreen. That sun and moon, those two big lights in the heavens, are, in the astrological tradition, representative of different things. And again, this isn't about this being true or false. This is about inspiring and entertaining. I can't say I'm very entertaining because I take the world very seriously, so that's kind of the astrology you're getting from me. And also a little lovely reflection of my beauty. Sun and moon in Libra. That's where we begin. Sun doesn't like to be in Libra so much because the sun is this very powerful force that doesn't want to stop. That's just going to do its thing, and anything that gets close to the sun ain't gonna make it. The sun is a very powerful force. Libra is actually the zodiac sign of the scales, so it's a tool, it's a technology, it's about fairness and balance, and when the sun is in Libra, it doesn't have its same just ability to just go forth. In fact, on the opposite side of the heavens in Aries, it does have that charging forward, doing what it wants, it's already done it, kind of energy, which the sun does. And the sun is important. I'm not trying to condemn that part of us that just has to just keep shining our own thing forward, but in Libra it struggles to do that because it's all about relationship and balance. Because of that, Venus is said to rule the constellation of Libra and also Taurus, but Libra in this case. So the sun's not the happiest there, and it's right next to the moon. So that means when you look out at the night sky, you wouldn't see the moon. It would be completely invisible. It's completely impossible for us to find the moon at night with the naked eye. So, because of that, it's a time whenever there's more dark than usual. So there's more sort of surrendering to the unknown, more releasing to the mystery, because you don't know, you can't see what's going on. Again, astrology was created before electricity was popular. It's been around for very, very long periods of time, so the lights were probably a little more important to the average person's just general understanding of their environment than they are now because of our current setup. But anyways, that sun and moon in Libra, that new moon energy, letting go of something and starting to build something new. Right now I'm looking out the window seeing a man with yellow hair letting a dog out on the grass. He's got tattoos, a little bit of a beer belly and blue jeans and very colorful shoes and no shirt, you know? Like, that's what I'm experiencing now. My relationship with this moment, how I'm connected to it, how I'm a part of it. Like, if I was totally nude, that wouldn't be appropriate because, well, this is YouTube. We don't allow those things on YouTube. If I showed you that I hadn't made my bed, which I'm actually standing on right now, you know, I might not give as good of a visual impression, but, you know, that's okay. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. But yeah, so that's the kind of new moon in Libra energy to begin. It's ruled over by Venus, and Venus is in Virgo, the sign just next to it. So there's this energy of Venus being in charge of this period because of the big lights being there. So how's Venus doing in Virgo? Well, in the same way that the sun doesn't particularly like to be in Libra, Venus doesn't particularly like to be in Virgo. So I guess this is the story that I'm inspired. Of course, I want you to do whatever it is that you want to do, but um, maybe this isn't the right thing. Like maybe this way of analyzing and critiquing and approaching whatever it is you're working on, whatever it is you're in relationship with, is just not working very good. Because Mercury is in charge of Virgo and Mercury is in retrograde, it's even more of a time for me to kind of go like, what? Like, what? If things start to reveal themselves to be not functioning, then change them, don't do them, readjust. I mean, Mercury does rule Virgo, so since Mercury's there, I still think it could be very constructive. It could be like very revealing to see like the partnerships and the things that aren't really working for you. All of those points, whoops, excuse me. Well, I guess I can do it like this. That's fine. This is not quite an iPad, is it? It's just a little cumbersome. But I wanted to have the ability to draw, and then I never really did. And this was like so much more memory and so much cheaper than Apple, but it is fucking heavy. Pardon my French. So, yeah, see all those planets there together? That's the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus. Now, they're not in the same sign, so they're sort of, I don't know how many degrees apart are they. Let's see. Mercury's 27, Venus is 25. So, like, yeah, you got about 5 to 7 degrees away. So it's still considered, I think, a conjunction. So there's this critical, analytical, mathematical calculation sort of thing happening about your partnerships, about your relationships, about who you're connected to, about what you love. There's a critical energy there, wanting to get it right, wanting to serve, wanting to balance, but it might not be the easiest. Now, that's sort of where the buck stops. That's what I call it, because since the Sun and the Moon are bowing to Venus, and Venus is bowing to Mercury, and Mercury is home, like, to me, there is this intellectual thinking, analytical process where the heart of the story is that I'm inspired to tell you. Something about the way you're thinking, something about the way you're communicating, something about the way you're analyzing and sorting and using this very human faculty to create systems and reasoned like approaches to things is like kind of, it's at a point where it's like something's got to give. So examples of this is just people who have like diversified themselves so much that they're not really meeting their commitments. They're not really doing what they're saying they're going to do. So let's say that I have a hike today at 4, tentatively planned. I do. I said I was going to do something before that, so like I need to keep a list of the things that I'm saying that I'm going to do, because I want to live in a world where I'm doing the things I'm saying I'm going to do. So, yeah. These points are kind of all together, and they're generally all being opposed by both Neptune and Jupiter. So that means that there's this, and those are both in retrograde as well. Anytime a planet is retrograde, of course we know that the universe just goes forward in one direction. It doesn't seem to slow down. It doesn't seem like you can go literally back in time, but you can retrospectively like analyze and think back, look hindsight, observe the patterns. I think that is possible, and I like that more than people who say that you can use your mind to go and experience different sensations. I'm not saying that it's a bad exercise to use your imagination and explore how things could have gone, but there is like a rule keeper, a boundary enforcer in the universe that seems to just be like, once someone has died, they did. Once someone has broken their arm, like, it's broken. Like, it takes time. to heal if it does. Like there's just this rule in the universe, this forward motion, and that right now may not be going the smoothest in certain areas of your life. This is just not, to me, the best time. If I was basing, like, if what I was saying was, like, fundamentally correct and not just a story, then, um, like, the story I would tell would probably honestly be to, like, think very, very hard about how you're thinking. Like, I know that that sounds weird to say, but think about why you're thinking what you're thinking. I always go back to meditative practices like the work of Byron Katie or Vipassana or morning pages. Like, just really like see what it is that your mind is creating. Like, notice it, be with it, either by journaling and then just being like, my body energy system created this. Notice it. It's okay to use your imagination, but I think if you don't attend the laws of reality, you're going to struggle. So I'm just saying, be careful. Neptune tends to dissolve things and make them very expansive and diluted into everything else in your life. So it's like, hold up. Jupiter in Aries gives a lot of vital energy towards like individualism. It's the opposite of Libra. So as we kind of check out this main feature, some of that like Libronic balance just sort of not really. Libra is the only zodiacal sign that's not living in the same way that the others are. So it's like, it's not as animalistic. It's more robotic. It's more. That's not to say that Libra people are like that. It's people who everybody has Libra in their chart. Everybody has a part of us that's sort of just like kind of neutral. And yeah, Libra is a very generous sign. It's of all of the places in the zodiac, I think Taurus and Libra are the most beautiful, probably. Just people will disagree, but at least archetypally, because Taurus has flowers and springtime and new life and birds chirping, and Libra is like the leaves falling off the trees. Like, they just changed colors and there's just so many of them. Like, it's not quite Scorpio, where it's like the novelty and the fullness of those colors in Libra start to fall. It's like they're all kind of more or less gotten on board now, and they're dying and falling off. And it's brown and like beautiful still, of course. All of them are beautiful in their own way, but like certainly I think dead of spring and the beginning of fall are 2 points that, you know, the camera loves, if you will. So I don't wanna leave anything out, but I'm just one monkey creature talking about the whole universe, so there's so much left out. Yeah, but so there's those oppositions between Jupiter and Neptune. I don't think I really explained the Jupiter signification. I guess it's kind of foggy for me because criticalness, dissolution, is that word? Whatever. Everything's merging, and there's this analysis process happening, and then you've got this Jupiter planet being like, don't limit yourself. Don't get so identified with these circumstances. Like, what's coming up for me is a show that I'm watching on Cartoon Network, or it's on HBO, but it's called Primal. It's this very violent cartoon about like early man and the ending of the dinosaur period and sort of their intersection. I don't know if any of that is historically plausible. Like, I think the dinosaurs were gone probably a lot longer before the humans arrived. But it's a fun thought experiment, and I don't want to give it away if you decide to just sort of face that like harsher part of reality and what the animal kingdom is like and that violent grittiness. But relationship and connection and keeping going are really big themes of the show, and sometimes there's a fight there, and sometimes there's just snuggling up by the fire. Like, there's relationship and partnership, and that momentum is a very strong integral part of our lives. So don't lose yourself in that. Don't lose yourself in that moment, that inquiry. Remember that it's a big experience that we're a part of. So Pluto is trining it. That's this blue line here. Those planets, some sort of deep immersion into the Capricorn part of your chart, our charts. For me, it's my creative sexual pleasure house, my whoops. I gotta turn this back on. So yeah, there's a deep sort of unearthing energy to Pluto. It's the last one that we know about in our system that's, well, I guess Charon, is that how you pronounce it, is next to Pluto. So maybe, I don't know which one's actually farther away, but it's pretty far away, but we still know it exists. It's a pretty deep process, and you can't see it with your eyes. You have to use tools, so there's just a depth to this one. It's on the fringes, but it's still real, and we still know about it. We can't get all the way to it. To me, it's almost like subatomic energy. Just like, we know we have cellular systems, and we, like, when you zoom into what our lives are and our bodies are, it's like actually quite magnificent and terrifyingly complex. There's something about our society and like how we show up and what our culture is like that is a direct result of that sort of deep, real life power, propelling us forward. Like, the combustion of the sun may not be getting to like the sun may not be getting to shine the light that it wants to shine because of its challenging placement right now, but there could be a really deep insight that can come. So, like, let's say you become really aware of something that you hate and detest. It's like a great bouncing off point, because it's, if you take that energy and you're like, I fucking hate this, then you go, wait a minute, what's the opposite of this? Then all of a sudden you sort of have exactly what you want and what you're looking for, and if you can definitely orient your senses towards that, then you'll probably be moving in the direction that you prefer. So yeah, Saturn and Uranus are not making aspects to that major line here. So we were looking at the Saturn Uranus square. It's been kind of like a big theme astrologically because these planets move slower. Saturn's movement into Aquarius pretty much aligns with like COVID timeline. So those are the significations we start to give when the god of death moves into its home territory and gets to do its most damage, to isolate and restrict. And yeah, squaring Uranus, sudden changes and shifts to things. We all do experience those moments now and then, sudden transformations. For me, it's long distance travel, my ideologies, higher ways of thinking, higher education, philosophy. Yeah, that's where that sudden like zap has been coming from me according to the star charts. And I don't know, I enjoy it. Again, I'm not telling you that this is true or false. It's just a really powerful tool that I like doing. It's immersive, and I have to keep being able to do it, so that way, if a person wants their chart read, because it's something that people like to do periodically, to sort of just like stir up the waters, sort of see what's working, what's not. It's just a really interesting tool to go deep. Here's my sales pitch. Saturn trining Mars. Saturn trining Mars. The god of death and the god of war, sending each other thoughts and ideas. For me, it's my work and my careers, like public image shots, sort of going together. So like, I'll meet someone and I'll be like, I wonder if they could help me. Like, I'm on a veil for a background acting or like to be in a photo in a TV show, and I'm just like, what would it be like to actually get that? And my imagination sort of just like, what would that be like? We'll see if that works out. I don't know if it will, but certainly the mind can imagine and create all of these different ideas and structures and problems. So there's that airy mental energy happening. I think some of them are fantastical. That's probably the square between Neptune and Mars. I mean, there's something dreamy, there's something escapist going on. Neptune has a lot of different lines pointing to it. Be careful with your escapist drug use if you do that. Just setting. We don't want to hurt anybody. Your weekly reading is here. This is from another app. I think it's really good. She has a whole system, but I don't like some of the words she's using because I'm very careful to like remind people that this is a story that I'm making up based off the stars, and I do have like a desire for it to be I don't know, it's the thing is, it could be confirmation bias, but like whenever I'm looking at the things going on in the heavens, and then I'm experiencing life, because I've sort of thought about it and thought about life and the different themes, you sort of start to notice them, but it may be because they were always there, and that might always be the case, but it's still something that like I'm able to like give into for an hour. Like, well, I don't know how long it is. It's getting less and less, it's true. But when I'm working with a client, usually it takes about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on if I only have an hour, that's what I'm selling, but sometimes I have a little extra time if we're getting somewhere that feels right for both of us. It's not all about the money. It really isn't. Let's see. We kind of talked about everything I think I want to say. Yeah, this Mercury retrograde's been a bit interesting. Plans and things have not always gone the way I want them to. Things falling out, people saying they're gonna do stuff and then not really responding, and that person that's coming to mind is definitely a Gemini. But Mercury retrograde, Gemini. Anything else? Just take care of yourself. Love, light, and the snake's bites. What I say to conclude. I don't know what to do to make you or me have a better experience sometimes. I don't know. But I'm trying to remember to moisturize my body, exercise and breathe and hydrate. And I don't know why we exist. I'm not going to tell you the answer to that, because I don't know. I can't put it into a word, but I know that this experience, the sound of my ankles popping, or the smell of the honey that is covering my face, because that's one of the things I'm trying to do to help my skin. I don't know if a dermatologist would recommend it, but I had a little leftover honey and I was like, putting it on my face. Don't know, guys. I'm experimenting. Let's see what wants to come out. Let's just do a little random read. The outlook that emerged with my developing sense of karmic continuity. The outlook that emerged with my developing sense of karmic continuity was like learning from an office colleague that the person who had had my job processing insurance claims previously had become so lazy and so woefully behind in his work that he had routinely taken handfuls of documents from the inbox and stored them in the adjacent room for eventual processing. The outlook that emerged with my developing sense of karmic continuity. The outlook that emerged with my developing sense of karmic continuity was like learning from an office colleague that the person who had had my job processing insurance and claims previously had become so lazy and so woefully behind in his work that he had routinely taken handfuls of documents from the inbox and stored them in the adjacent room for eventual processing. So it's like, yeah, it does sort of, like, see, we talked about messages and themes and communication, and I randomly open a book, and it does seem to be completely about that. So you've got this inbox, like, let's say you get, I'm going to find this in my own life. I've got hundreds of postings to go through for acting. So I go through the filters and narrow it down to as few as possible, like someone who can actually pay me, something that's fit for my age. And even with those narrowed down results, it still shows me things that I'm not a match for. Like, it's not a perfect system. And besides, like, I don't necessarily look 29, but I don't necessarily look 31. I don't necessarily look 22. Like, so it's not a perfect system. I only have a limited amount of energy. And if I'm just submitting for things, like, they may, it's a tedious process. I would love to have an agent do that for me, and I do for commercials, but I don't for these, like, other projects because they're not lucrative enough, so I'm having to do it for myself, but I'm definitely interested in getting an agent for all of these things, just because it's, to me, if you have like 30 people, then every single posting you might have someone who could do it, and it's like a puzzle on matching, and that just makes so much more sense than one person having to do it all. But I haven't manifested that for myself yet, in my current state, so hopefully that will change. I can definitely speak that into existence, and yeah, the mind, thinking, analyzing. People say that I think a lot. In some ways, it's kind of like, and how does that make you feel? Like, why can't people share, like, if my constant chattering mind or thinking mind makes them feel something, can they just say, like, Caleb, I'm getting overwhelmed, or Caleb, I don't like this, I feel this. Why can't people talk about their feelings instead of just point out that my mind goes quickly and thinks thoughts and makes connections? And I don't know. I have Mercury in Aries. What can I say? It's going, it's pushing through, it's new ideas, it's trying to leave winter behind, and let's have a new life. Let's have springtime. I don't know, guys. Love, light, and the snakes. Bye.